So once again, thanks for joining today's the first session. More of a session where I wanted to provide a walkthrough of what we are going to cover as part of this engineering batch, right? So, quick introduction about me. This is Satish. I'm from Asia. I've been with Asia for training for last
This
2 years,
conference will now be.
and I have a years of experience of around 13 to 14, right from testing, performance engineering, and the product development as well. Right. So today, for the next 30, 40 minutes, we will I'll walk you through the topics that we are going to cover. What is that something you're going to learn from this sessions, and then we will also have last 5-10 minutes for the Q&A. Okay, so let me go and share this slide. Okay, so couple of things that we keep hearing from our trainers, right? Who have been attending other courses or in our seminars. The general thing that we keep hearing from most of people are, I do scripting and execution using.
Hey, Satish, your voice is not clear. There is some disturbance actually.
Oh, is it okay for?
Yes, yeah,
Is it,
yes,
is it,
sir. Your voice is like breaking and it's like double echoing.
oh, is it okay? Let me just give me a second. Is it okay now, or is it still the same?
Yeah, it's better than the
Yes,
previous
sir.
one. Yeah, it's better now.
Okay, if there's some problem, yeah, let me know. I'll probably try to switch my audio.
Okay.
Okay, so what I was mentioning is the most of the time when we speak to the performance testing folks who comes to our training or who attend our webinars, right? These are the general statement that comes from them. They say that I just do scripting and execution, or I don't do monitoring at all. There's a separate team for monitoring. I just provide the LoadRunner summary report. I use Dynatrace or AppDynamics, but I just provide the eye-level analysis. I'm not involved in any of these deep dive analysis, profiling, or bottleneck. There is a separate performance engineering team who does that all these analysis, right? So most of the time, what they say is I take care of scripting, and then I do execution and provide the reporting. So what next they can do, right? Obviously, this is a job of performance tester, but if somebody wanted to upskill them, and then so that they can do better in their job, do something that is more relevant for today's market, to do what is expected by the project team. That is what we are we have tailored to meet those needs, right? So from here, where you're saying I just do scripting and execution, we want you guys to is able to hear me still, right?
Yes.
Okay, thanks. Okay, from here, what we want the team to say is, I know, in addition to my performance testing, or which is scripting and execution, which are my core work, I also know my server-side profiling and client-side profiling. When I say server-side profiling, more in terms of finding out the bottleneck with respect to the response time, with respect to the memory, with respect to the threads. I will be able to go and do the early profiling or at the server side, and also the client side. And I'm good at doing the heap dump and thread dump analysis. Whenever there's a problem during my load test, I know how to take the dumps, and I know how to analyze it. And when there's a problem with my DB, I know how to take the AWR report and to analyze it. And all these popular monitoring and engineering tool like JProfiler, Visual VM, JConsole, right? I should be able to go and use it as per my need. I know to my JVM, tune my JVM, right? to make sure that my JVM can handle 1,000 users or 10,000. How to benchmark it? How to have a proper configuration and tuning for that. And Dynatrace or AppDynamics doing a deep dive diagnostic. Right? APM tool like Dynatrace is doing a response time analysis, memory analysis. To use APM tool is all the capability I should be able to know. And then I also should use not rely upon other team to do the monitoring. I know how to do using both open source and commercial tool. Okay, so all these things. So I'm saying still voice is not clear. Guys, I just reconnected. Able to hear me?
Yes.
Is it good now?
Yes.
My voice?
Yeah, it's there.
Yeah.
Yes, now better.
Yes.
Yeah, there's some problem with my internet. I turned off the Wi-Fi. Okay, I'll continue. Okay. So I was saying that what is a typically the performance testing team or performance tester do today, and our objective of this course, right, to make them from this level to reach a level where they should be able to go and confidently say that they know all these things what I mentioned in the right hand side, right? So right from your dump analysis to server side profiling, client side profiling, benchmarking your JVM, using the APM tool properly for bottleneck analysis, to do the monitoring, and then also when I say monitoring, it is just not your Windows monitoring, it's also about the Linux monitoring, right? That is what so this course is tailored in such a way that a performance tester, how a performance tester can become a performance engineer, covering all the essentials, right? Obviously there are n number of things that you can learn as you go forward, but we have tailored in such a way that at a minimal level, whatever that is required for a tester to become an engineer. Okay, so let me go through the topics very quickly so that you will get to know about what are things we are going to cover. So we'll get started with the there are a couple of questions in the chat. I'll try to answer it maybe once I finish my walkthrough overview. Okay, so we'll get started with the Java basics, because this is this entire course is on Java performance engineering. There's a reason behind picking the Java as a technology. I'll talk about that a little later. Okay, so at the beginning we'll get started with the Java basics, because it's very important that um, we are going to talk about lot about methods, class, objects. When we, as a performance engineer, right, we go and tell them there's a response time problem with your this particular class or this particular method. We say your object is having a memory leak, and we go and say there's a thread contention. So we go and talk technically, we go and report a problem technically, right? But as a performance tester, what we do, we go and say response time is high. Uh, there are a lot of errors. there are a lot of transactions failed. That is what we go and report, right? Even with that itself, your developer will come and challenge your results. Now, as a performance engineer, you're going to go and tell your developers that your problem with your code, there's a problem with your method, there's a problem with your class file. So which means you should be comfortable with these terminologies. We're not going to be developers, but we have to know the developer language. We need to talk in their own language so that we can go and confidently have a conversation with them. So the idea of the Java basics and JVM basics is to just break that mindset, whether I will be able to go and talk to them or not. Right? That is the intention of having these two topics at the initial level, to get you that kind of a comfortness on the development landscape and development terminologies. Okay. From there, what we will do is we'll think ourselves as a performance engineer, who obviously will get into a project very early in the life cycle when compared to performance tester. Okay, and then as and when application is getting developed, as and when a service is getting developed, a page is getting developed, we have to go and do the profiling, right? When I say profiling, we have to do the optimization. That is our responsibility, right? For any page, any functionality, how I can improve my response time. If there's a response time problem, what is a problem, why it is having a problem. So debugging the problem, identifying the root cause is what we will do. We will try to learn the response time profiling, your memory profiling as part of the early engineering. Okay, we are going to use tools like your developer tools, your JProfilers, JConsoles, your server access log. uh, all these things we will be using it in combination to do these early analysis. Okay, so the first one is going to be a response time analysis, and then before doing a memory profiling, or memory profiling is also going to be part of your early performance engineering. We'll try to learn what is heap, what is stack, what is the difference between these two, and then we'll go and look into some of these stack related problems, heap related problems, memory leak analysis, how to take the heap dump analysis, what is GC. A comprehensive session on memory is going to be there, right? Almost there are going to be 4 or 5 days. We will be looking into the complete memory itself, a week time where we'll go and learn entire concept about memory, heap dump, garbage collection. That is something you will be using it as part of your engineering responsibility. And third one is thread, Java threads. See, when it comes to your performance, right? You have a server. It is going to execute a code, which means it needs two things. It needs CPU. It needs memory. It needs CPU to run your code. It needs memory to store your variables, your arrays, strings, results, everything temporarily in the memory. In memory, it has to store these things. So you have to look into CPU, you have to look into memory. And when I say CPU, behind the scene, it is all going to be threads, right? Your threads is going to execute your code. So that is what the basics of your engineering itself, right? So we will look into response time analysis, we will look into the memory analysis, we will look into the heap dumps, we will look into GCs, and then the threads. What are thread contentions? Why there would be a contention with thread? How to analyze the thread contentions? How to configure the thread, minimum threads, minimum heap, maximum heap, thread dump analysis. All these things is what we are going to learn as part of your early performance engineering. Okay, and again, all these things, right? In a project, as I said earlier, performance tester will get involved once application is ready. Right? They will start doing the scripting. But as a performance engineer, your role is going to be more than that. That is why you are going to become more relevant, right? There are a lot of automations coming into place. There are a lot of teams where automation team itself now going and creating the performance scripts. So it is very important that you are going to expand your knowledge, expand your skill level. If you're going to be a performance engineer, you're going to get involved much early in the life cycle. So you're going to be applicable for a longer duration in a project, right? From right from your development till it goes to production and post production also, you're going to play a huge role as a performance engineer. Okay, so from Java threads, we'll move on to the client side analysis as well. Client side profiling, how to do a testing, how to do our client-side optimization, all these things in detail we will try to learn. Again, from a tool perspective, we will try to use the developer tool as much as possible for the client-side testing. And then for the optimization also, we will try to see how we are going to look into the data from a developer tool to provide the very important engineering optimization for the web page. Okay. From there, we'll also try to learn how to write a monitoring strategy. Okay. So normally we write a test strategy, right? Similar to that, we should also go and write the monitoring strategy. We will try to learn how to look into an architecture and how to write the monitoring strategy. And as part of that, as part of the monitoring, right, we are going to look into three things. One is on the AppDynamics. We'll try to learn how to configure the AppDynamics, how to validate if every data is coming properly or not in AppDynamics. And then we'll go and look into all the components that is part of your AppDynamics from monitoring, and then diagnosing your response time problems. Okay. And we'll also use a open source monitoring, because in a lot of places people have started using the open source for infra monitoring, for their server monitoring, right? Even if you don't have an AppDynamics or Dynatrace, at least server level monitoring, right? Your CPU, your memory, your threads, your network, at least that we should be able to provide the monitoring data. So for that, we'll try to use it Telegraph Inflex combination called TickStat. Okay. And for this, right, what we're going to do is all these things are going to be pretty much practical, right? So I'll be using let me go and show you. So what we will do is typically we'll go and use a Java application which is available in my laptop, which I will also give it to you. So we'll go and start the application. Let me show you that, right? This is my Tomcat, and I'll go and start my Tomcat, and in the Tomcat I have my war file for E library. Okay, this E library application is what I'm going to use it for my response time profiling, memory profiling, thread contentions, thread dumps, heap dumps. So this web application is what I'm going to use it for our training. Okay, so let it start, and all these artifacts, right, whatever we are going to learn from the war files or the scripts or configuration files, all the we will be going and creating response time problem, we'll be creating a memory problem, we'll be creating a thread contention problem. That is how we are going to learn, right? We are going to create a problem. I'll be creating a problem, I'll be deploying that problematic war file in the Tomcat, and then we'll go and as an engineer, we'll go and analyze the problem, find out the root cause. That is how we are going to build it, deploy, we're going to test it, and we're going to find out the problem, and we're going to do the diagnostics. That is how practically we are going to do it. Okay, now let me go and open the localhost. Okay, this is not starting up. Let me go, and there is some exception that was throwing here. I'll close this. Okay, I'll try to delete these files. Okay, I'll redeploy it in a minute, right? So all these war files, this is the drive which you'll be getting access. Okay, this will have your war file for response time analysis, and then while we do the this profiling, right, we'll go and document the findings and the report what we will give to the developers. So all these artifacts are going to be available in the drive as well. Okay, which you will have get access to it during the training and after the training as well. So complete whatever analysis we do, we will document it and then put it in the drive, which for which you will have this is a JProfiler response time profiling for which the report is created. Similarly, for everything: response time analysis, memory analysis, monitoring, thread logs, Linux related artifacts, GC related artifacts. All these things will be available for you to practice it in your own laptop. Because what we need from you is, I'll be taking the sessions, I'll be doing it practically during the session, and during the daytime or the weekend, it would be better if you can go and practice it. What we need from you is a laptop, and the Java, Eclipse, Tomcat, just a few softwares. That is all required, and the tools as well. Okay, but everything, all the softwares, all the required things that you need for your practice will be given by me. Okay, everything will be there in the drive. So which means whatever I do it, even AppDynamics, right? Even AppDynamics, for example, whatever I'm having it here, okay, it's a cloud version. So even you will be able to go and create your ID for your own use, and you can go and use AppDynamics for your configuration and for your analysis. Okay, I'll tell you how to do all these things, but pretty much everything you will be able to do it on your own in your machine. Even a commercial tool like AppDynamics, JProfiler, everything you will be able to install it and then use it. So few things you should have it in your laptop: just Java, Eclipse, and Tomcat, and I'll guide you through how to use the softwares for your practice. Okay, so it is going to be very straightforward for you to go and practice it during your day or your weekend. And one more important thing is, see, you can still listen and then don't do a practice. But if you do a practice, you can confidently go and talk about these things in the interview. Okay, you can go and say in the interview, I haven't worked in the engineering project, but I have learned engineering. I have used a Java application on my own to do all these activity, from the profiling, from the if dumps, the thread dumps, with the GCs, with the client side analysis, with APM monitoring. If you go and tell that I have done all these things on my own, right? You're not going to claim you are an expert. You are saying you are a performance tester. Out of your interest, passion, you have learned engineering, and then you have done on your own all these hands-on by yourself. Definitely people will be more than happy to take you to a project. You take it to your company, because there are going to be two categories, right? One who have already have experience in engineering, that's okay. But most of the time when people come to a performance testing interview, right, they're good at testing, but they will not have the other additional things. So in that place, you will be seen as a differentiator. People who just know performance testing versus people who know performance testing plus they have the hands-on in engineering. Definitely you're going to be and all these topics, right? It is an exhaustive list. There are not just one or two, right? From your heap dump, thread dump, your GCs, your AppDynamics kind of a APM tool, your open source monitoring, AWR reports, all these things you're going to learn and practice it. Okay, so again, coming back to our topic, after your server side complete analysis, we'll also go and look into the Oracle concepts, Oracle database architecture. We'll try to learn a couple of very important things like buffer cache, your parsing, which are very much related to your performance issues. And then we'll go and see how to take an AWR report, how to take a snapshots, how to analyze your AWR report from a application performance engineer perspective. Because there are a lot of things that is going to be there in AWR which a DBA will be interested, which a database engineer will be interested. But we as application performance engineer will try to learn how we are going to use the AWR report for our analysis. And from there, we will move on to the non-functional requirements, how to write an engineering strategy. Okay, so all these things are all core of your engineering. And something relevant to this today's market, right? Wherever you go, in the interview or generally in the project, right? They keep talking about DevOps. They're talking about the cloud resiliency. So we wanted to also provide a very good sessions, very good learning on these topics that are very, very relevant to today, where you can go and talk about this, go and do this as well. So we're going to have one session on DevOps, where we'll try to learn from a performance perspective what is DevOps, Jmeter, Jenkins integration, practically what are all challenges we might face, what process you should follow, for running your performance testing in the Jenkins. That is what we are going to cover from a DevOps perspective. Again, from a cloud, we'll try to see what is the difference in cloud. You have your application in on-premise, now it is going to cloud. What is going to change? Is it really performance required or not? Because a lot of places people say cloud will take care of performance. Is it a right statement or not? What are the additional scenarios you need to cover? What is the resiliency? What is auto scaling? All these things we'll learn from a cloud perspective. And additionally, we'll also go and learn the cloud monitoring also. Addition to AppDynamics, addition to your JConsole kind of a tool, right? You can also use AWS CloudWatch and Azure Monitor for Azure. So we'll go and learn about this cloud monitoring as well, which is very relevant for this current situations. Okay. And from a production perspective, I was saying, right, performance engineer is not only in testing phase or development phase. Even when it goes to production, performance engineer will be part of doing the synthetic monitoring. We will try to learn what is synthetic monitoring. We'll use Dynatrace to create synthetic scripts to configure and then analyze the synthetic monitoring. Okay. So we'll be using Dynatrace. Again, you will be also be able to go and register for Dynatrace and then use it to learn the synthetic monitoring by yourself and so on. And apart from this, right, we also wanted to give you a bonus topic, good video recordings, which I have done separate sessions for Linux for performance system, because Linux is again very important. You have to be comfortable in Linux, right? Either for your load generators, installing Jmeter and load generator, Jmeter in Linux, or monitoring your servers in Linux, Docker in Linux. A lot of things you will do it in Linux during your performance testing and engineering. So we have a good recordings of Linux for performance system. Similarly, we also, it's a very important that in today's market, right, people talk about performance automation. How can I use Selenium scripts for your performance testing, for your single user validation? So we also have a very good videos of performance automation for Selenium. Okay, we cannot include the 6 hours, 8 hours live, because it's going to make our sessions very, very huge, which is not going to be practically possible. So we'll include those. We'll provide those video recordings to you. When I say video recordings, right, every day's recording, like today, the way I recorded, right, it will be available for you tomorrow for almost for 1 year, 2 year, 3 year. There's no limit. You will be having the full video access forever. So every day session will be recorded, and the next day you will be getting the recordings for your reference, for your practice, and that will be available in the YouTube, and you will get access to the YouTube link as soon as session completes today. Tomorrow by afternoon, you will get the recordings. And that is how it will be. Okay. So these are the exhaustive topics. I'll probably go a little bit more on this tomorrow as well. And from the I talked about the hands-on what that is required from you, so that you can confidently go and do it or talk about it. Okay. And for the any questions related to the enrollment, you can reach out to Kumar sir. The schedules are going to be Monday to Friday. Mostly it will be Monday to Friday. Someday you might have it on Saturday if there is a holiday, festival day in the week, or if there's a session got cancelled for whatever reasons, right? You might have it on Saturday as well in some cases. Or in general, it is going to be between Monday to Friday, same time, 8:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. IST. Okay, I'll take a pause, guys. Yeah, if you have any questions, feel free to put it in the chat, or I can unmute and ask as well. So there's a question on what is heap dump and what is thread dump. Okay, I was mentioning about, right, when you run a load test, you're going to use CPU, you're going to use the thread, you're going to use the memory. Okay, whatever the variables, strings that are declared in your application, all these things will come into your memory heap. Okay, so when you're going to run a test, 500 user test, 1000 user test, there are going to be a lot of these variables, strings, arrays, objects are going to get stored in your heap. Okay, and when there is a memory problem, okay, if the memories keep on going increasing, and if it is not coming down, right, you need to analyze why it is keep on going, why it is not coming down. To get the answer, if there is a memory problem, if there's a memory pattern is bad, for you to analyze it, you should take a snapshot of your heap. You should go and take a heap dump. Okay, so dump will have the complete data of what are all objects are there in the heap at this time, that to analyze you for further. Okay, so that is a heap dump. Similarly, thread dump is there are going to be hundreds of users going to log into the system. Every user will be doing some activity for which the threads will be used. So those 100 threads, 200 threads, to know at this moment at 9:11 p.m. how many threads are running, and what is the state of the thread. A thread can be running, it can be sleeping, it can be logged, it can be with some contention. To know the states of the thread and some more details, you should take a dump of thread. So to debug a response time problem or a CPU problem or a thread problem, we will take a thread dump. To troubleshoot a memory problem, we will take a heap dump. Both in production also we will do it, and sometimes whenever there's a problem, even in doing a load testing, you will do it in your performance service. So that is the purpose of heap dumps and thread dump.
Yeah, Satish, this is Gaurav here. I have one more question. That is, suppose this we are doing it for Java technology, but suppose if the application is built on .NET technology or Python, then how we will do the performance engineering?
Okay, so I would compare this with LoadRunner versus NeoLoad. Okay, so a person who knows LoadRunner, for the first you learned the first tool, right? LoadRunner tool. Now to move from LoadRunner to NeoLoad, the concepts are going to be same, right? You will have to record, you have to do a parameterization, you have to do a correlation, and then you have to do error handling. But the tool is different, the syntax are different, the way you do it is different. Similarly, once you know the performance engineering concepts, every technology, every programming language, every framework will need CPU, will need memory, will need some kind of a garbage cleaning, will need a thread for execution. So from that perspective, the concepts are going to be the same, but how do you profile it, how do you analyze it, the tools are going to be a little different from the technology to technology. But from a monitoring perspective, from the client side profiling perspective, from the Oracle AWS report perspective, from a non-functional engineering perspective, all these things are going to be same, because still it's a web application. So there are going to be 50% which is going to be common, and 50% is going to be concepts are going to be same, but the tools, utilities are going to be different. That is one part of my answer. Second is, obviously you cannot go and keep learning everything at a stretch, right? You have to start somewhere. To start somewhere, Java is the best place, because in any of your enterprise architecture, even if you have a .NET, even if you have a Node, even if you have Python, Java is going to be there for sure, right? And it's still a very widely used enterprise programming language, and it's also going to be there in the future. So if at all you have to start somewhere, this is the best place to start. And every interview you go, when you talk about the performance engineering, they will ask you questions around JVM, JProfilers, memory leak analysis, heap, stack, GCs, Java threads. So that is why when you want to start somewhere, Java performance engineering is going to be best thing to get started. When you move into a project, in the project, if you have a Python, if you have a Node, then you need to know, you will know this, my Python application anyway is going to consume CPU, it is going to run on threads, it is going to consume memory. I should go and find out, there are going to be tools available for sure to do these profiling or analysis. So you'll apply the concepts, but how do you do it is going to be, it's going to keep changing from project to project, from a technology to technology. Okay, there is something a question on can we have future opportunities for this course? I don't know what. So Lakshmi, can you please elaborate on this? What is the future opportunities for this course? Okay, I'll try to get that clarification on the question. There's another question on. I'll just go and scroll it. Yeah, the regarding the fees, right? You can reach out to Kumar sir. He's there in the WhatsApp group. He's one of the admin. You can definitely WhatsApp him or call him to know about the payment and also to how to do the payment. There is one more question on the memory analysis. What kind of memory analysis we will do? Okay, so as I was mentioning you, right, there are going to be 1 week of memory related things. When it comes to memory, there is a heap, there is a stack. You would have heard about a Stack Overflow website, right? So we will learn the stack, what is heap, what are the common problem with these things, how to analyze this problem from a single user perspective. We will analyze a memory in a certain way and find out the bottleneck. While we do a load test, there is something called heap dump. We have to take it. There are going to be GC tuning flags which you have to be aware of. There are going to be GC concepts, the major GC, minor GC, and then there are collectors, GC collectors like G1 GC. Will go and have a comprehensive analysis of all these things from a memory perspective. Okay. Okay, there's one more question. Whether it is possible to install and use AppDynamics because it is a licensed tool. Okay, see, it is a licensed tool, but AppDynamics, luckily, they provide a 15 days trial period. In fact, it is not even 15 days. Even you can use it for 2 months or 3 months. It is a SaaS version. It's a cloud version. You don't need to install entire AppDynamics. Not required. You will just go to AppDynamics, register it, and then you will go and configure it, download an agent, and then you'll attach the agent with your Java application. So which means within 10-15 minutes you can yourself do the setup with AppDynamics and you can have your application getting monitored. Okay, so we will learn how to set up the AppDynamics in the cloud, how to configure the agent with your Java application, and then how to use the AppDynamics for your monitoring, analysis, bottleneck analysis, alerts. All these things we'll look into it. Okay, what tool you are going to use it? Say I'll be using Jmeter and also LoadRunner wherever that is required, but purely, right, it is not going to be performance testing tool. We are not going to deep dive onto any of the correlations or into the scripting at all, right? For me to create some kind of a load, I'll be either be using Jmeter or LoadRunner. All GC concepts will be covered. All GC concepts will be covered. Let me check out if I can just pull that memory slides for you. Just give me 1 second. I'll just give a quick preview of the memory aspect. So from memory perspective, we'll try to learn the JV memory threads, thread and stack, how it is related, and then we'll go and look into the problem statements to analyze the memory problem and then fix it using JProfiler, JVM tuning flags, and then shallow heap, return heap, common memory leaks. During endurance test, what pattern we have to analyze it? What is heap dump? How to take the heap dump? How to analyze the heap dump? What are the various configuration available? What are the various tools available? Okay, and then garbage collection concepts. What happens in GC cycle? During GC, what happens in terms of marking, deletions, compacting, the object promotions? We'll try to go and execute few programs and see how the objects are getting promoted in Visual VM. GC log analysis, right, GC metrics, GC collectors, all these things, tuning flags. So that is how the exhaustive thing is going to be there with respect to your memory and GCs. How to monitor network site statistics in performance engineering. Okay, see, network site statistics are um, when you do a load testing, right? Your load generator is going to send um, the data in packets. So there is going to be a network between your load generator to your app server, and then between app server to your DB server. Okay, so networking is going to be something little exhaustive. When you want to go and find out problem with the network, mostly we will not be part of that. You're going to have a network team because it needs a special skill in terms of networking. But as a performance engineer, our scope is to understand, is there a latency problem between your server? Is there a latency problem between my load generator and my app server? Is there a latency problem between my app server and DB server? To do those things, we will go and try to use the commands like your tracer or ping to get the latency, and whenever you see a response time in LoadRunner, but in the Dynatrace or the AppDynamics, you will see response times are good, right? So to know why these kind of differences in response time, we have to understand the latencies between servers, and for that, from that perspective, we will try to will cover what to do and how to do. We will discuss about the approach, but in detail about if there is a packet loss, right? If there is a network congestion at the switch level, right? Device level and all, we will not go there because that is something not going to be that easy for us to do it as part of the application performance engineer. Our scope is going to be in and around application only. From a network perspective, we will try to analyze to a certain level, and then your network team has to do the deep dive analysis. What types of topics like client side testing will be covered? In the client side testing, we will cover the couple of important APIs available in the your browser: navigation API, resource API, how to get the page time, how to get the page size, how to analyze with cache, without cache. What are the important client-side metrics like page size, number of requests, load time, DOM load time, time to first byte, time to first paint, all the Google-related metrics. Will try to learn how to test it, how to gather it, and then from an engineering perspective, we'll go and try to see how to optimize the page. What is resource compression? What is why we should minify your JavaScript? How to minify your JavaScript? Whether the JavaScript is minified or not? Whether the caching is implemented properly or not? What is the impact of the CDN? So all these things exhaustively, practically, we'll go and test it and find out problem and then see how to fix it. Does this course involve load balancer related configuration? No, it doesn't. From an engineering perspective, load balancer related configuration in AWS will not. That is not part of this course. Yeah, obviously we can go and cover all these things, but it is tailored for certain purpose. So this load balancer related configuration is not something we will cover it. Okay, fine, guys. So there's one more question. Yeah, the interview question? Yes, definitely. We will go over the interview questions at the end. We'll also share the interview questions with you. That will be there in the drive as well. Okay.
I have a question.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, I want to know, like, will you cover like what matrices we have to look for each component? For example, if it's a load balancer, there are certain things like for a web server, there are like the number of connections and all that, right? So for each component, will you cover what are the matrices that we have to look at and what is the impact of that on the component kind of analysis? And one more thing is when you come to cloud AWS. So I've had a question, interviewer questioning that, when you have a latency, when you see a latency, you have a Kubernetes cluster implemented. So from your API gateway, what are the matrices that you will check for each component to understand where the issue is happening? So will you be covering in that way, in that depth?
Okay, you have asked about 2 or 3 things in the same question, right?
Two questions. Yeah, it's two questions. Yeah.
Yeah. So one first question from the
Your voice
sorry,
is
can you
not
rephrase it?
audible. Yeah.
Oh, is it okay now?
Yeah, it's fine.
Okay. From the component, right? Components and metrics, correct?
Yeah.
Say you have your OS, Linux or Windows. That is one level of monitoring. Second, you have your Tomcat or your server, web servers, and you have your JVM, and you have your database. So at each component level, you are going to monitor, and then you will have a specific metrics. Yeah, that will be covered. And second is second, what is the